Hello, dear friends. I'm Kira Rudik, member of Ukrainian parliament, leader of the political party Holos, and I'm speaking to you from Kiev, Ukraine. Since the beginning of full-scale invasion, my main job was to inform international community and work with different media outlets to tell the truth about Ukraine. And so right now, I'm going to answer some of the questions that you have been sharing on different social media and that I want to address. We are, of course, in a very important week right now because everybody is waiting for President Trump and Putin's meeting in Alaska, and there can be so many outputs, and it will definitely be important not only for Ukraine but for the whole world, because the decision that will be made there can affect literally everyone. So the big question is, what are the expectations here on the ground in Ukraine from this meeting, and what is the best and worst case scenario for us? We have gone through this love-hate situation with President Trump since the day one, when he has promised to end the war in just 24 hours, up to the Oval Office spat, and then understanding that Putin is not his friend and he will only publicly humiliate him. So for us, the best case scenario is that they meet. President Trump finally realizes that Putin obviously only wanted a picture with him, or to prove that Russia is strong and Putin is strong, and President Trump will finally get annoyed at him and go ahead with all the promises that he has made before, implementing sanctions, putting secondary sanctions on the country that trade with Russia, probably moving with some sanctions on some personalities there, and obviously pressuring Europe into confiscating some of the Russian assets that are being stored right now in the Belgium Euroclear. We hope that would happen, because as of right now, Russia didn't move an inch since what they have wanted in 2022. And though President Trump was asking them for a ceasefire or to return some Ukrainian children, they didn't do any of those. And right now, President Trump doesn't look very good. He looks weaker than Putin, because after all this back and forth, Putin got a meeting on American soil with the President of the United States. So the best case scenario is that President Trump realizes that and gets annoyed at Putin, and then goes ahead with everything that can be done and use all of the cards that he has. The worst case scenario is that they will agree on something about Ukraine without Ukraine, something that we will not be willing to accept, and something that we wouldn't even know what that was. So the issue that we are facing right now with all kinds of the peace deals is the security guarantees. How do you make sure that Putin will keep his part of the bargain? Everyone has been concentrated on the simple questions, like what would you agree to, where the border should be, etc., etc. But nobody can tell or answer like a very simple question. Are you going to vouch that Putin will keep his part of the deal? And if President Trump has the cards in his hands, he probably should be using them for specifically this thing. We know for a fact, because we have been with Russia in these so-called ceasefires since 2014, when Russia first attacked us, and it never worked. They were always breaking it down. And even in 2022, when the full-scale invasion started, the war was technically going on in the east of Ukraine, in Donbass and Luhansk regions. So for us to be considering any kind of the peace deal, any kind of the deal at all, we need to understand what would happen if Russia breaks their part, because we know kind of for sure that Russia will break their part of the deal. And then we need to get a very proper answer to that to be able to move forward. Even imagine if there is some peace deal that Ukraine is not included in, and it's just like shown to us like, here it is. I just truly I'm not sure that we can execute it here on the ground. As of right now, the majority of Ukrainian families have either someone fighting at the front line or have lost someone at the front line. So going ahead and telling them that everything that they have lost has been just for nothing would be impossible from political point of view. So we, of course, are really hoping that President Trump and his team understand it. We know that he genuinely wants peace, but we are really curious on how to deliver that, especially in the situation when Putin was not able to move on any of the requests that he had since 2022 when he firstly launched full-scale invasion. We need to talk about details here, which is the legality of any kind of the peace deal. So Ukraine is acting according to Ukrainian constitution that cannot be changed during the martial law. And so the war needs to be over, martial law needs to be lifted, and then Ukrainian parliament can or cannot, may or may not, vote for the changes in the constitution if there would be people's will to do that. So we do not see anything like that coming anytime soon. I think President Trump was very motivated by the deal that he has done with Armenia and Azerbaijan, and it was really historic. It weakened Russia, and we are applauding to this deal. But if you look inside this deal, it doesn't have any security guarantees. It basically says, oh, both countries are going back to the borders of 1991, and that's it. And they live peacefully ever after. And the United States are getting the total control of the very important trade path. And obviously, President Trump should be happy and satisfied because this deal was made. Here we need to say that Ukraine has done everything by the book since the beginning. Since this Oval Office path, we have decided to go on doing everything that President Trump is requesting. And in the parliament, we have voted for the rare minerals deal. We have ratified it to say here the United States needs to have a stake in the game, and now it has economic interest in Ukraine. We have agreed to an unconditional ceasefire with Russia the moment President Trump suggested that, and President Zelensky has gone to Istanbul to meet with Putin, and Putin didn't show up. So right now we say, look, we are not the blocker for the peace to happen. Russia is and always was a blocking side. They are an aggressor, they have started it. So the appeasement of the aggressor cannot continue to be happening. This hope of President Trump that Putin is his friend cannot just continue. And so we really hope that President Trump either has some very strong additional cards or ways to pressure Putin when they meet, and that he wouldn't allow and he wouldn't go ahead with giving up on Ukraine and Ukrainian people that are fighting so hard for the exact things that we all know the democracy stands for: our freedom, our liberty, our ability to define our own future. So we will be looking forward. And as of right now, the things are going very up and down in Ukraine, and we are receiving many calls, especially from the people in the front line, about what does it all mean and what needs to happen and what should we do differently. And the truth is, we have done everything from our side. So let's just continue working.